Hello and congratulations for getting yourself QuickBooks Online. Here at Boffix, we want to make sure that you know exactly how to use QuickBooks in the best possible way. There's a little introduction video on how you should be making the most of QuickBooks Online for your business. Roll the VT and let's get straight into the first steps that you should have to make sure that you're using QuickBooks the best you possibly can. Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Aaron Patrick, Head of Accounts here at Boffix, and this video is all about making sure that you know exactly how to use QuickBooks at the very first time. Now, QuickBooks Online is designed to help you and your small business be able to have all the information they need, real-time information. And it's going to be essential for your relationship with Boffix to make sure that we have all the details we need to keep you compliant. If it's filing VAT returns, tax returns, corporation tax returns, filing accounts, whatever it's going to be, we're going to need the information in QuickBooks. So the best thing for us to do is get yourself on the right way. Now, if this video is at all helpful, don't forget to use the subscribe button, because we give lots of tips and tricks on how small businesses don't just survive, but thrive. But also don't forget to go over to our sister channel, Aaron Patrick, the QuickBooks Chap, because in that channel, you're going to see everything you'll ever need regarding QuickBooks. This is supposed to be a little introduction, little nuggets of helping you kind of get first set up. Now, let's not waste any more time. Let's get straight into it and let's get you set up with QuickBooks so that you can make sure your business is running in the best possible way. Let's have a look. All right, first you will see as soon as you get from us is an email. That email will tell you to log into QuickBooks, or if you bought QuickBooks from them directly, you'll go in and log in directly. At any point though, you should get to this screen where it says, tell us about your business. You're going to put your business name at the very top here, and you're going to put an industry in here. Now, pro tip, if you can't find an industry that works for you, don't worry, start typing in the word other, and from other, just say can't find an industry and everything will be fine. What type of business do you have? Do you have a sole trader or a limited company? They're going to be the two most common. Sole trader's at the top here, and it's actually called private limited company if you've got a limited company. For this one, I'm going to say I'm a sole trader. How long have you been in business for? This question actually has no relevance whatsoever, but we're going to say less than 1 year, and we're going to ignore the fact that you want to bring your data from QuickBooks Desktop. Press next. The next screen is all about making sure that you can understand what your business needs to do with QuickBooks. Now, none of this will turn any features on, it will just help you prompt. So are you going to be using QuickBooks to track your VAT, track retail sales, manage your stock, pay your employees, send and track invoices, track your CIS, or track hours? If you don't know what CIS or VAT is, there's a good chance you're not in either of those two schemes at this point in your business, so don't need to worry about them. And again, nothing on here turns anything on, so just use what's going to happen. For me, I want to send and track some invoices, so let's press done. Now, everything's going to be configured for you at this point. You'll notice that as soon as I go in, I'm going to get straight to my dashboard. This is going to be essential for you because this is going to give you some shortcuts on the right hand side, and it's going to give you some elements that are going to help you be able to run your business by having profit and loss and expenses. I highly recommend you take the tour, because then it's going to tell you how you can customize the layouts, how you can jump into action using shortcuts, and making sure that you can see all of your different business options at a glance just there. I personally really love the fact you get all this data when you first log into QuickBooks. This will help you understand and get to the pulse of how your business is doing. So I highly recommend that every time you jump into QuickBooks, have a glance at this, see if this is making sense to you. Now, before we go any further, let's get your settings set up. So I want you to go to your settings in the top right-hand corner. From there, I want to go to your company and down to account and settings. From account and settings, we basically need to set QuickBooks up ready for you to be able to send invoices out or be able to record your information. So the first panel on the left-hand side is company. In here, let's make sure your company name is shown. Let's make sure that your legal name is shown. And personally, I would always put a logo up there as well. Pressing this plus button gives you the chance to be able to create a logo, bring one in, upload one, and then you can start using that things on invoices and stuff like that. I'd then make sure that all of your company emails are correct or your company address is correct. You may find the company email has been defaulted to a Boffix email, as we were the one who set the company up for you. So make sure that that's correct, because that email is going to be the email that's going to go when you send out invoices. And you want to be making sure that the customers can contact you in the right possible way. Most of the other things you don't need to worry about at this point in time. Sales is just the place where you can customize look and feel of things like your invoice and stuff. So if you are using QuickBooks to send invoices out, it's probably a good idea to go in there, make sure you're happy with the aesthetics of the invoice. Expenses, not really all that much use to you at this point in time, but there's some really good, cool features on there to be able to figure it out later down the line. And then time, if you're going to start using timesheets, not a lot of people will do. But on advanced, what I'd highly recommend you do is you look at the accounting area and make sure that you set your first month for your financial year. For sole traders, majority of that will be April that you want to be setting it to. But if you're a limited company, head over to your company's house and have a look when your year end's going to be. Remember the wording though, first month of the financial year. Let's make sure we set that to that first month. So the first month that it's going to be, that means it's going to close your books automatically for you going forward. Now there's a lot of options on here that you can go through. A couple of ones I would recommend staying clear of for now is things like multi-currency. When you turn multi-currency on, if your version of QuickBooks allows it, you can't then turn it back off again. It actually disables some features. So maybe reach out to us and let us know what your circumstances are, and we can let you know if you're right to turn multi-currency on or not. If your multi-currency is just interacting with buying a few things from abroad or something, or buying some services or some software from abroad, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Really, multi-currency is if you're sending invoices out and there's going to be a delay in paying them, because that's where it really shines. For most time, it's not going to be that important to you. Once you've done that though, press the done button, and now we are ready to start using QuickBooks itself. Now my pro tip at this point is get yourself comfortable with this left hand side. The new button at the top is going to be by far the most efficient way for you to create new transactions in QuickBooks. If you're going to be using QuickBooks to send invoices out, there's your invoice button. If you're going to be using QuickBooks to record expenses, there's your expense button. Now, one of the big questions we always get asked here is, well, there's an expense, and in some version of QuickBooks, there's also bills as well. What's the difference? So if I click into an expense, for example, the screen's going to look like this, and this is going to be on our transaction view. The key difference between an expense and a bill, well, an expense is something you've already paid for, and a bill is something you're going to pay for later. So a bill is only really used in those scenarios where you've got a statement and you're going to be paying for lots of different bills at the same time, and you want to keep on top of how much money you owe to pay. I wouldn't necessarily use bills all the time. I would tend to use expenses for majority of your cases, especially if you've already paid for it. And if you're attaching your bank account, most of the time you don't even need to record manual expenses. You'll be able to record them directly from the bank. But the key difference between an expense and bill is an expense is something you've already paid for, bill is something you haven't. So when you do an expense, you need to say where the payment account's going to go from. Dropping this down here is where you get to state where that payment is. Now, if it's a personal bill, don't forget that you really need to create yourself a new payment account. Leave it as a cash on bank, leave it on cash on hand, but make sure the name is going to be something like drawings, maybe director's loan, or even call it personal expenses, something like that. This account then means that when I save and close, when I create an expense that's got payment account with drawings, director's account, or personal, means that now I can start putting expenses in that haven't come out of my business bank account. For example, I've started the business off and I've already bought myself a nice little computer, and that computer cost me £1,000. Well, I don't want to not put this in because that's quite a big chunk of money, right? But I didn't pay for it out of my business account, paid my personal account. So when I press save and close, once I've chosen my category, then at that point, I've now recorded my new £1,000 computer, and that's ready to go. Now, pro tip for you, if you ever need to go back to a transaction, use the search bar in the top right hand corner, which is a great place for you to search for any transactions and even reports. But also it's a great place for you where you can see historical transactions. So here you'll see expense £1,000. Well, that's a transaction we've just done. Clicking back into it takes me back to the transaction. And personally, any transaction I do, I would always put an attachment on here. Here, you can go grab the attachment. I'm on my Mac, so I even get to upload from my mobile if I want to, and I can get that transaction directly into QuickBooks. If you've just got a receipt, just put something there to give some sort of proof as to what this £1,000 relates to. The more proof you can put in there, the better it's going to be for everyone. From a new side as well, you've got the opportunity to send invoices from here. If I was to send an invoice from here, the idea is that I get to put the name of the customer up here, put the customer email, state what it is I'm selling, and then I can even save and send. And even in QuickBooks, I have the option to accept card payments directly from here using PayPal, or even set up a direct debit solution using Go Cardless, which means that you could send this invoice out, and if they're already connected to Go Cardless, means that then they have the ability to collect that money on your behalf. If you do accept cards with payments and PayPal, it means there's a nice little Pay Now button on there, which means that as soon as you send the invoice to a client, they can click the Pay Now button, using even Apple Pay and stuff like that, and get it paid straight away. We love that feature within this area. So what else is on the left-hand side? Well, first of all, you've got your bookmarks area. Use this little pencil here to determine what you want in that bookmarks area. Or if you find an area you're going to for a lot of times, then use this little option here where you can bookmark. So if I want to keep coming back to my home, my dashboard, I can mark it as bookmark there, press the home button, and then at any point I can go back. And that means I can quickly go between my transactions if I need to. The sales area is brilliant for keeping on top of things, seeing how much income you've had, see if people owe you money by going to the customers area, and you have the option to go from there. And expenses is great as an area to look at supplies and things like that, because the expenses area is where you can then record and have a look at see if you need to pay anyone or anything else. The bills area is brilliant for just keeping on top of what you owe people, just to make sure you don't miss it. There's a whole payroll section, and there's a reports area down here for you to go and see the reports. We've only should have one item on here so far. So if I do all item, all dates, run report, then you can see there's my computer equipment there, and there's the personal expenses, and basically saying at this point in time, the company has £1,000 worth of computer equipment, but the company also owes me £1,000. So it keeps it really straightforward. Now, the most important place for you to get your head around is the transactions area. The bank transaction. This is the ability where you get to attach your bank account to QuickBooks so you can get information in there. Now, this is really important because if you connect your bank account to QuickBooks, that means that the information is going to come in A, correctly, B, on time, so you get real-time information, and C, it's going to speed you up so much more than if you'd have to manually put those transactions into a piece of software. So I would highly recommend use the connect account option. From here, you can find what bank account you want to connect and connect it as you need to. Once you got that opportunity, you then grant your access to your bank. And at this point now, it's bringing the data in for me. So I'm going to look at that information and start categorizing transactions for you, use a bit of AI, a bit of machine learning. So this is going to help you bring it in, and it's just going to make things easier for you. I would happily use the categorize expense option. Is your business bank registered? Yes or no? I'm going to say no to this one. It says charge master limited. I'm going to say that's subscriptions. We've got way here. I'm going to say that's entertainment. So I'm going to look finding similar expenses for you to put this all in. And this is about making sure that we're being as efficient as possible. It's now basically found transactions for me ready to rock and roll. So I press next. Am I happy these transactions are always going to be what they say here? So is it always going to be entertainment? If I say yes to it, it's going to create a rule. So next time it sees that transaction, it knows what to do with it. And this is about teaching QuickBooks what your categories are related to. Once I'm happy with that, I press next. And this is going to be your main page for getting that bank transaction in. You'll notice some really key areas. Top left-hand corner is what we call our bank card. They've got the bank balance and the in QuickBook balance. Ideally, you want these two figures to be the same. There's also going to be one of the most important numbers of all, and it's going to be the number here, which in my case is 25. And it's also going to tell me when it was last updated. Ultimately, for me, I need to go through and categorize all these transactions and get this number down from 25 to 0 for my two balances to agree. Because what happens in QuickBooks is you have a for review section, which a transaction QuickBooks are aware of and haven't yet dealt with, categorize, and excluded. Excluded is the easy one, so we'll deal with that first. Excluded basically means that they're transactions you've brought in by error. You very rarely have to use excluded, but if you do put them into excluded, then that means they won't be accounted for. And this is one of the reasons why you can have a bank difference there. Categorized though is what 99.9% of your transactions will always go to, and that means you're then going to say to QuickBooks what they relate to. And QuickBooks is going to try its best. For example, it's found subscriptions just like these ones here, and if I'm happy with them, I can go and press the add button, which will then add them as what they've been shown as. So there's another one. If I'm not happy with it though, I can click into the transaction and I can change the category from here. So for me, I'm going to go down and do purchases. Then once I press add, then if I have another one that relates to that, it's going to know for next time of where they are. And the idea now is I can go through all of these transactions. For example, I can say this is actually sales, click on the sales figure, press add. Notice how the rest of my Amazon ones have all gone green. Now, if there's multiple ones I want to add at the same time, I can tick each of the ones that they relate to. So this, and this, and it brings up a money bar at the top. From here, it's saying that 6 transactions, I can either accept them all. So if I'm happy they're all correct, press accept, edit them. So I could edit them and maybe change it to a different account. Maybe I don't want them to sales this time, maybe I want them somewhere else. Or the final option is exclude, which again, you're very rarely going to use. If I accept all of them, they get accepted. And because I'm accepting multiple ones, QuickBooks is then going to ask me, do I want to create a rule? If they're always going to be there, I'm going to say yes, I'm going to create rule and put that in. Now, in that scenario there, I've just added a load of Amazon transactions and I've put them directly to sales. In reality, we wouldn't do that. In reality, I've got a whole video on the Aaron Patrick QuickBooks Chap of how we would use the app area to actually connect your Amazon account directly to QuickBooks so that those transactions can come in automatically. For the purpose of this video though, we're just going to keep things nice and straightforward. I'm then going to add all of my other income and put them directly to sales by using the edit options, sales, and accept. I'm going to create a rule so next time they know what to do with them. And then finally, I'm going to go through changing any of these ones I need to. If I'm happy they've all been allocated correctly, I can use the select all, press accept. At this point now, I've added all of my transactions to QuickBooks. I know that because I've now got a big tick here saying that all my transactions are done. And I now can see my bank balance and my in QuickBooks balance are exactly the same. And if I was to now go to my reports and have a look at a profit and loss report, I can see that my sales figure less my expenses has given me a profit. If I change it to all dates and maybe even change it to months, I can press run report and I get a really good breakdown of the income I've had each and every month, the expenses I've incurred as cost of sales, and my expenses for admin costs shown just here as well. This will give me an insight of how my business is doing. I'll also have the opportunity when I go to home to see how my dashboard is going to affect how my business is doing. So straight away, I can see bank accounts. I can see if I've got anything I need to deal with in that bank account area there. At the moment, everything's been reviewed and both the figures are the same. I can also see how much is owed to me as the owner in my drawings director's loan. I can see my profit and loss. I can see some things as well. I'm down 84% prior month. My expenses, I'm up 100% from my 30 days. And my cash flow trend as well, including my cash flow balance if I want to look at it. And finally, invoices just here. If I was using this to send invoices that we're going to get paid later, it's going to tell me directly here what's there. And there we have it. If you have any issues with QuickBooks at all, don't forget you've got the help screen at the top where you have the option to talk to anyone at QuickBooks using the contact us button. And my favorite part of the contact us is using this chat now functionality where you can actually have someone talking to you directly with it on the chat with us section just there. There's an opportunity to ask the community, or you can even get a call back where one of the team at QuickBooks will call you. Obviously, there's also Boffix as well, where we're here to help you. Send us an email, book in a meeting, whichever's going to work from you, and we'll make sure to cover you and have a look at your information as and when you're needed. And that's it. Now, I know this has been a very quick video based on what we've had to look at, but this is all about making sure you got that fundamental so you know how to keep on top of it. Don't forget, there's far more to QuickBooks as well, including the mobile app as well. The mobile app is going to be a fantastic functionality where use the same login credentials you've just done, but be able to add transactions and put transactions directly there from the palm of your hand. Again, if you head over to Aaron Patrick QuickBooks Chat, there's loads more content, including a rundown of that mobile app itself. My name's been Aaron Patrick. As always, this video has been an absolute pleasure to do for you. Don't forget to use that subscribe button, both on here, the Boffix channel, and also maybe heading over to Aaron Patrick the QuickBooks Chap, so you've got all of the content you'll ever need to make sure you're making the most out of QuickBooks Online. My name's been Aaron Patrick, Head of Accounts here at Boffix. It's been an absolute pleasure to do this video for you, and I'm sure I'll see you in an upcoming video. Bye for now.